Hey everybody, it's time for Old Roommates. Today on the show, we revisit 1985's Back to the Future. So slip on some Calvin Kleins and get comfy. We're about to begin the show.
Welcome, everyone, to Old Roommates, the only podcast that revisits pop culture through a middle-aged lens. This is Christina.
And this is Brian.
And we revisited Back to the Future this week from 1985. What is today's date, Brian? I'm gonna look it up. I gotta look up today's date.
Yeah.
Because what's funny about this is we're almost. So this was 85.
Yeah.
And we're in 2022, and the date is it's November 8th.
Yeah.
But we're only like a couple of weeks.
That's right.
Within the actual time that he went back. It was October 26th, I think.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how cool is that? We're like in the future.
And we didn't plan it because this movie came out July 3rd, 1985. Mm-hmm. We begin, as we always do, by talking about then.
Yes.
So, Christina, when was the first time you saw Back to the Future?
I don't even know the first time.
Did you see it at the movie
I want to
theater?
say it was in the movies.
I would hope. I mean, I feel like the world saw this movie.
I really think it might have been because... Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was in the movies when I saw it. And I remember really liking it. Yeah. And I've seen it several times since. Not for a very, very long time. Yeah. Probably not since like 1985 or so. Yeah. Well, maybe not. I'm sorry, not 85. Like 95 maybe. Yeah. But anyway, I remember really liking it. I remember laughing at a lot of the jokes, a lot of the hijinks. I remember the ending being so awesome and being like, how are they going to get out of this? Oh my God, another thing happened. Oh my God, another thing happened. And like really enjoying that aspect of it. I will tell you the very, very, very end. And of course, I mean, whatever, spoiler alert, right? When he wakes up and everything has changed in his current life. I did not like that. I felt very uncomfortable about that. Okay. Where I'm like, I remember just not liking it, thinking, how is he going to live his life? Like, it's almost like a brand new family. Yeah. And I just remember feeling like, oh my God, I would be so sad. I would miss my old family.
That's a now feeling for me, but we'll have to get into that.
So I remember feeling that way then.
Well, you were very advanced.
Are you surprised?
Well, actually, to the 85, I was 13, so you would have been like 17, 18.
I was like 17.
So yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah.
But anyway, so that was my feelings. But all in all, I really liked it. I thought it was fun and exciting and funny. And I liked just imagining, oh my gosh, imagine going back to the 50s and trying to like live your life. But all in all, I really enjoyed it. I had a couple of critiques, but not too many. Yeah. But I really enjoyed the movie. Now tell me about your past.
Yeah, saw this movie probably a couple times in the movies, to be honest. I loved it. In fact, for Christmas that year, so months later, the only thing I wanted was a skateboard.
Oh my gosh!
And 2 months later, I think I gave it away.
They're not as fun. They're not quite as easy as they appear to be, right?
It takes some skill. I hurt myself repeatedly.
Oh yeah, those things are dangerous.
And I think I was just using it on my kitchen floor because it was like winter. So it's like I kept hurting myself, and I'm like, I guess I'm not a skateboarder. But I loved this movie. I wanted to be Marty McFly. In the reality, I was much more of a what's his name? Crispin Glover.
Oh, George McFly.
Like the bullying stuff was a trigger for me. I was like, Biff is Satan. It's that public embarrassment element that gave me chills. So anytime Biff got some comeuppance, I was super excited. And I really did love this movie. The ending with the plugs and the tree and the lightning and all that was so intense. I remember being a
very
little kid.
Stressful.
But this movie, I remember this movie being like action-packed, and to the point where, say, the quieter moments bugged me. Because when I would see it again as a younger kid. But to your point, I haven't seen this movie in probably 30 years.
Yeah, same. Yeah, definitely.
Probably 30 years. Did you ever see part 2 or part 3?
No.
No, me neither. Something happened to me because I used to be the biggest Star Wars geek. Mm-hmm. The first 3 movies, or Jedi and Empire, whatever, New Hope, those 3. And I'm telling you, something happened in my teen years where I was like, I can't do sci-fi. I just shut it down.
Interesting.
And that included Back to the Future. So as much as I was super into it, it ended almost as quickly as it began. And so I never saw part 2 or part 3. But I'll tell you, this week, 3 nights ago, we were at a dinner, and the host of the dinner, we were going around the movie talking about our favorite movies. Yeah. And his favorite movie is Back to the Future Part 2. What? And I've never seen it.
Are you intrigued? Do you feel
totally
like you want to? I kind of want to watch it too. I know, especially at the end, I was like, why didn't I? After I watched it this time around, I'm like, why didn't I watch Back to the Future Part 2? Was it a long time after?
It was 4 years later.
So maybe that was it. Maybe
4 years later. But I think because at that point you would have been 22 years old. You're gonna run to see Back to the Future Part 2. There are certain genres that I think for a time in our lives become cheesy. And I think sci-fi is one of those things.
Well, and actually when we were thinking about doing this movie, my memory of it was really, I remember liking it, but I really felt like it was like a kid's movie. I didn't expect much. Yeah. I really didn't expect much. I thought it was going to be cheesy, like you say. Mm-hmm. But anyway.
Or what I mean is the perception is of that.
Right, you're not going to go on a date.
Yeah, I mean whether they're well made or whether it's well made or not. If you're a teenager, you're probably not rushing to see, Back to the Future Part 2 if you're 18 years old. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I don't know. So that's then. Now we're going to talk about now. Mm-hmm. When did you rewatch this?
I rewatched this yesterday.
Has it had time to sink in?
It maybe a little bit, mm-hmm. but it was on my list to watch. I wanted to watch it with Matt. I wanted to watch it with Emily. Just couldn't get our shit together. Yeah. And so finally I was like, all right, fine, I have to watch this movie because did you mention we didn't mention last night I actually had a sleepover at your house. So I'm like, I have to watch it before I leave to see Brian. Yeah. So anyway, I watched it yesterday. And yeah, my basic general thoughts were I was pleasantly surprised because I do feel like I was afraid it wasn't going to hold up, and I forgot not a lot, but I forgot some about it. It's not a perfect movie. There were quite a bit, honestly, I feel like the setup and the first maybe half hour of it, I could have almost done without. I know it's necessary, but that first, it just seemed like, not even the first few scenes, I like the first few scenes in the present. When he goes to the past, mm-hmm. it just, I know a lot happens, but for some reason it felt almost boring in a way. Right? Okay, he's nodding his head.
I'm nodding yes.
Yeah. It seemed a bit boring to me. And then everything kind of picked up at the dance. And all of a sudden it was like, oh, okay, this is really, really good. That was my kind of experience with it. And it's not from lack of moving the story along. It's not like there were a lot of slow moments. Yeah. Things were always happening on screen, but there was something about it that just seemed a bit boring this time around.
Can I jump in here?
Yes, go right ahead.
So I'm nodding my head a lot with what you're saying. I will say this, and I think you're saying it too. I don't think there's any fat on this movie.
Right.
Every scene brings us somewhere. Every scene moves this movie along. I think this movie, if it's not already done so, it should probably be taught in screenplay classes because mm-hmm. At the end of every scene, at least one character is closer to something or a realization or something. And it's really, really well constructed. This is Robert Zemeckis directed it and co-wrote it with Bob Gale. But I completely agree. Christina, I did put this on late at night. It was Friday night, so a few nights ago. And I got a little dozy. And it was when he first goes back in time.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my God, this is like sleepy to me. And one of my favorite movies is Peggy Sue Got Married.
Oh, yes,
And I remember watching Back to the Future and being like, wow, Peggy Sue Got Married just does such a better job. It's a different kind of movie for sure, but the awareness, and it's not Michael J. Fox. I will say though, who's in it, Christina? The bane of my pop culture existence.
Who is the bane?
The Gremlins mother.
Oh my God,
the mother from Stand By Me. The mother from Gremlins. The mother in this. Like, oh my God, this actress. Like, and I feel bad. She's still alive. I'm not going to say her name. But I just don't know why the director didn't tell her to pull it back a little bit.
Yes,
She's
you're right.
So
oh my gosh,
much.
That's so funny.
Every movie, I don't know why she bothers me so much. But she is constantly acting in a toothpaste commercial. It's just
and
like
she's always the same character.
Yeah, it's like
you could
Marty.
Really flop any of those.
Well, except Stand By Me, when she has the depression thing.
Oh, right,
but yeah. But again, I agreed. It was something was weird. Something was just so off about it. Like it was. I think it was trying to keep the humor up. Like, you know, he's like, get used to these bars, Uncle Joe, whatever, in the crib, and the and I just felt like, okay, it's trying to be too many things, and it's a lot of story. So maybe the movie just, I don't know. As much as I appreciate how, because even in those slow moments, it was pushing the story along.
I mean, everything was pushed away. It's not that it was lack of the story. It wasn't like you said. It was like no fat. There was no dead weight.
It was like the tone of it. It was something.
I think it was the tone of it. I think that's what it was. Maybe they did it on purpose because they wanted it to be like, you know, it's the 50s. Things
it's
are
sleepy.
calmer.
Yeah, the neighborhood's calmer.
Everybody's nice.
TV's a big deal. They're watching TV, and he's like, "Oh, is this a repeat?" Like, and it's like, "What's a repeat?" It's like, you know, and so
which was funny the first time you see it, but maybe it's like the revisit part of it.
Yeah.
I remember laughing at not necessarily that, but I remember like the bars.
Yeah.
Oh, get used to these bars. I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
But then on a revisit, you're like, oh well. That was such a setup joke.
Yes, it was.
Like with the cake. Oh, Joey didn't get out of prison again.
Because he actually could have probably helped that situation and been like, hey, here's an anonymous note. Your baby Joey's going to be a convict.
Let's take him out of that. Yeah, let's take him out of the pit.
Maybe get him some help.
Because she said he cries every time we take him out, so we just leave him in there all the time. Which is kind of funny. But then even like in the diner, like some of the dialogue bothered me because it was like written for a joke about the future type of thing. The whole
Pepsi free
tab thing. Yeah. So he's like,
you got to order
something
for a tab. Yeah.
Okay, that would have been funny. Okay, fine, no tab. Ha 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 ha. All right, get me a Pepsi free then. Has anyone ever ordered a Pepsi free?
Maybe in '85 we did.
I don't know. I never have. But then, this is the part that really bothered me. Oh, just give me something without any sugar in it. No teenager has ever said, I want a drink with no sugar in it. So, it would have been more believable if he said something like, oh, just a diet. And then have him put like a salad in front of him or a water. Mm-hmm. Like that would have made more sense.
Yeah.
Because it just didn't seem like something anybody, child or adult, would ask for.
It didn't, but you know, it's funny. It didn't bug me, but it did make me think of Marty as an older soul.
Yeah.
Which he's so not.
Yeah. No.
In fact, even that beginning with like the crazy giant sound, like speaker, it's like, it's funny that Marty would risk breaking something because you realize he didn't really know what was going to happen because he says it on the phone and he turned it to 100. Like, that's
you could hear it buzzing.
Yeah,
it's like it buzzing.
The feedback. It was, you're going to get ready. And like, to me, that is so disrespectful to his friend.
Yeah. He didn't even care that he broke it.
No. And so there's been a lot of talk as to this friendship. And is this friendship weird?
Interesting.
This teenage kid and this retired scientist or nuclear physicist. And I did some research, and apparently they met when Marty broke into his lab because he was curious what he was working on. And then the doc found him. And he's like, I'm just really interested in your stuff. And he's like, all right, you can help me clean my lab. And so Marty would go in there to clean the lab.
Does this come out in another movie or something?
No, this was in an interview with Bob Gale, who co-wrote the screenplay. Oh. Yeah. But as I said, years later.
Yes.
Okay, so let's see. So I guess this is a negative. I did find with Doc, I know he's a beloved character. I don't know. Through my middle-aged lens, I found him very, very loud. Very... We gotta go, Marty!
Yeah, he's very
oh
spastic.
my God. It is Jim from Taxi, and I get that. But it's like the movie, particularly in the 50s scenes, it's like he's just a clash. And it's like almost disorienting at times. He's so wacky.
Yeah. I didn't mind him this time around. Some of the things he did make me laugh, like his expressions.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but one in particular is when he's reenacting the scene. Actually, he says something funny. Where does it say? He says when he reenacts the whole town in the clock tower, and and he has the car, and he's like, he builds it all. He goes, please excuse the crudity of the model. I didn't have time to build it, to scale or paint it. I'm like, you did all this. That made me laugh.
Yeah.
But then in that same scene, they reenact it, and the car goes through, and he does the lightning, and it catches fire, and it falls off the table, and bumps into a rag, and lights up in fire. And I loved him in the scene because all of a sudden he just goes, ah! Like he screams, and I thought that was really funny.
Yeah.
But those scenes, I liked him, but I can see like the annoyance.
Yeah, and through my middle age lens, he became annoying. But it's amazing, like oh my God.
Christopher Lloyd.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Christopher Lloyd. It's funny to think that like a year before this, he was Professor Plum. Right? I mean, like it's such a different performance. He's so good.
Another movie we revisited.
That's correct. Yeah, and so then, and my next note, to be honest, is like a pro and a con. We have to talk about it. Is Leah Thompson and the mom.
The makeup.
Okay, so in the future, so the new. All right, so it's two things, right? So there's before the past, the beginning of the movie, where I actually thought the makeup was more effective than the end. What did they do to her forehead in the final scene of this movie?
Well, I think it's more believable in the beginning because she's supposed to be overweight, kind of a heavy drinker, supposed to look a little ragged.
Yeah.
And then I think they really struggled with making her look older and maybe a bit heavier, but also healthy. Yeah. I think that's where they struggled. But yeah, the forehead was weird.
They gave her a giant forehead. I'm like, that's kind of an odd choice.
I don't understand.
It's weird. And then because Crispin Glover, they made him look as cool as anything with like the silver hair.
Good.
He looked good. And they could have made her look good. I mean, couldn't she have just looked like not different? And just in older clothes and like a different hairstyle. It was
a very weird. Yeah, I don't know why they did that.
Super weird.
Either.
Super weird. But my bigger thing was she, and I get the joke because in the beginning she's like, girls calling boys.
Yeah.
In my day. And then they cut to the past and she's a total tramp. Yes. She is drinking, smoking, flirting with boys, like reaching for his underwear.
She took his pants off. His mother didn't know that his pants. I mean, her mother didn't know that his pants were off.
That's right. She throws herself at him in the car. She kisses him. It's his mother. It's disgusting.
But I like the fact that they were like, "This isn't right."
She's like, "This is my brother," and it's. But then she's like, "He's an absolute dream." Like. It's really funny, but wow, is it gross. Yeah. But it's like, and I get it, because it's like, she was this character. She's like, criticizing Marty's girlfriend in the future. And now you realize that she is a drinking, smoking, flirtatious. Because she even starts liking George McFly, because he says, you're my destiny, when he corrects himself.
Yes. I actually really like that little scene. I think that scene is so cute.
Well, she's great because she actually looks at him like she's intrigued.
Well, you think that she's not going to like him.
That's right.
Because he's, kind
George
of a
McFly.
geek and George McFly. But she's actually like, oh.
I'll hear you out.
She's interested in what he has to say. And then when he flubs his words a little bit and says, Destiny, you can see her face soften.
Yeah. And
be like, oh, she does kind of like him.
And she even says at one point, she's like, well, he's cute and all.
Yeah.
She's boy crazy. Of course she thinks. I mean, George, by the way, he is cute.
He is cute.
Yeah. Let's see.
Well, let's talk about him. So, it was funny. I kind of forgot, as I was watching it, I'm like, oh yeah, Crispin Glover, he's really good in this. And the first note I have is his dad is actually a really fun guy. He has a very positive outlook. The things that he's saying were actually fun, and he's laughing, and he was making me laugh when he laughed. Even when Biff comes in and he's being a jerk to him, he's still laughing. He's oh, Biff.
Yeah.
It doesn't, he lets it roll off of him a little bit, which is, I thought was a nice character trait.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a nice, yeah, I see what you're saying.
He wasn't depressed, or he didn't feel weak to me.
But if you know your parents being taken advantage of by this guy, and your dad is laughing it off, but he's really ripping him off. He crashed the car.
Oh my God.
And then he's like, oh, what, my insurance? The whole thing. I have to say, so I respectfully disagree. I think it's it's fine to be that way, but not to the point where you're being taken advantage of. I think Biff is a very underrated villain in pop culture. To me, I was oh, it's Biff. But he's really good. The actor is ThomasFWilson. He plays Biff in all 3 movies. And he even, I think, voices Biff in was there an animated series?
Oh,
and then
so,
the video games and all that. So, but I thought Biff was great.
I thought he was too.
What a great villain, great acting. And you just fucking, and he shows up and you're just oh.
You get that visceral reaction, right? It's
I hate him so much. Here's this nice moment and Biff's gonna ruin it.
Yeah.
Because he's not even
he ruins every moment.
Because it's not even I'm trying to think of another 80s villain like Johnny from Karate Kid.
Right.
He's Johnny from Karate Kid was he's much more it's sinister, quiet in a way, where Biff's loud and draws attention to everything. He wants people to fear him.
Yes.
And it's awful. And because it's like I said, was bullied in elementary school, and it's one thing to be bullied one-on-one, but when it's a crowd and that feeling, you don't ever forget that feeling. Or not only, it's not really laughing, it's they're scared, it's they're oh God. The people that are laughing are in my experience has been, they're usually laughing because it's not them, or they want the bully to think they're on his side.
Yes. Yep.
But most people are just afraid to say anything because they don't want to be the victim of a bully.
Right.
So, but it's when that diner scene where he walks in, and he's bonding with Lorraine, and it's and then Biff, and I forgot that happened. I was just oh no. And then when Marty trips him, it was amazing. And then when they drive into the shit and they all yell out shit.
So funny.
Great.
So funny. And one of those little subtle moments is when it's the end of that scene and the whole crowd is there and they're all watching what happened with the car and the poop and Marty. And then you see George McFly in the background, and he still has his note in his hand, his pad of paper. He's right behind Leah Thompson, and he just kind of gives up, and he's just ugh, and he just kind of walks away. Mm-hmm. That really broke my heart because he was making a connection, and then he if he had stuck around, he might have continued that connection, but he just gave up. So sad.
Yes, very sad. Oh my God. So I just wrote really disturbing. So Lorraine is assaulted in the car by Biff. I
hate that scene.
Christina,
that scene
this is
very, very disturbing.
It's really disturbing. And in the dialogue, he says something to her like, you, like, act like you want it or something.
Yeah, don't act like you don't want it.
Don't act like you don't want it. And I'm like, ooh, ugh. And I'm telling you, through my middle-aged lens, this is not PG. That is not a PG scene.
That scene makes it PG-13
that is not like,
at the least.
Yeah, I think so too. It's a little much. The dialogue is like really rough to hear in this day and age. And I mean, just the look on her face. Yeah. Where she's like, George, help me. Yeah. Please help me. Yeah. It was like, wow. Yeah. Wow. But then at the dance, that guy pulls her away.
Oh my gosh.
And it's like she's being assaulted like twice in the same night. What is going on with these guys in this town?
She wears that dress. Oh, I'm just kidding. But no, I know.
The dress that hits the floor.
Oh my gosh.
Like it's a huge dress. But but I was just like, that scene, I was like, ooh, this is a little too real.
That's very disturbing. And that's the second time he assaulted her, because he was assaulting her in the cafeteria.
Oh right? My God! Right. He's like, well, he grabs her arm.
He's grabbing a lot. I think. That, and she's just like, get off me. Yeah. And, so disturbing. I don't like any of those scenes anymore in these movies. Like, not that I haven't liked them, but like they hit me in such a different way now. Yeah. A very different way.
I'm gonna be really honest. I don't have a lot of notes. I was really enjoying this.
I really enjoyed it too.
For an hour and 56 minutes, you're exactly right. Once it really hits the big dance.
It's that
dance.
Oh
my God. But I'm telling you, there's a lot of other fun stuff, like that whole skateboarding sequence with the car and the shit.
Oh, that was fun.
There's a lot of like great setups to big scenes, and they all really work. Mm-hmm. I will say, Biff, why don't you make like a tree and get out of here?
Get out of here. Oh my gosh, I have that written down too.
It's great. And let's see. Oh, and even like in that, I know I'm going to talk about it again. It's that same scene with the rollers, the skateboard, and the shit and all that. But it's like, that's what I mean about like, you don't see those scenes in too many of these revisits where so much happens in a scene that affects so many characters. And I think it's all done really well. Because like, George gets his heart broken. Lorraine falls more in love with Marty. Biff gets covered in shit. Mm-hmm. And, Marty saves George's life. And it's within a very short period of time, but it pushes all of the characters forward.
Yes.
And it's in most movies, it's sort of been like a set piece, like a funny little distraction, but it actually propelled the story. It's great. And Biff,
all of these scenes have a purpose. It's great.
Biff later comes back and says, you cost me so much money and damage to my car.
Yes.
So it pushes the story along, and I think it's really fun. And I think that's a middle-aged lens thing. When I was 13, I was not thinking about plot.
Right.
That like, oh, he ruined his car. That's why Biff's mad at him.
Yeah, right. There's a reason. He doesn't want to just beat him up to beat him up. I have a couple of notes, even from the very beginning. One of the things that stood out to me as a grown-up, middle-aged lens was he was willing to sacrifice his dog for this experiment at the very beginning. He's like, watch, Marty, I'm going to put him, and he doesn't know what's going to happen.
Einstein.
He puts his dog. Why couldn't he just put he could have just put a stopwatch in there.
Yeah.
Didn't have to have the dog.
Very true.
Maybe a little, just made me notice it.
He had never tried it before.
I don't think he ever tried it before, because he had the plutonium. He was like this was the big experiment, bringing it up to 88. He's like, because I'm at the exact precise moment of 88. This is my calculations. Like, I don't think he's tried it before. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I noticed that. I did think it was clever to use like the video camera. Like, he's a scientist. He's using the video camera to record everything that's happening, and they were able to use it later in the past to figure out what he did and how he did it, so that they could devise a way home, rather than just have him be like, well, wait a minute, what if we use the lightning? Like, there was actual little like scientific data that he could actually learn from himself in the future.
Yeah.
So I liked that. One thing that bothered me then and bothered me now is when Marty is being chased by the people who are trying to kill him.
Okay.
Does he not remember 5 minutes ago that 88 miles per hour is what's going to blast him into the past? Because he's driving. And then he goes, let's see if you bastards can do 90. And I'm like, But 88 is going to blast you into the past. Like, I don't understand, like, how he didn't remember that. And I know he's running for his life.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because he was not really thinking. And then the only other thing, well, I have a few things, I guess, but he says, so it's supposed to be, he meets him at like 1:20 or 1:30 in the morning.
Right.
When he gets blasted into the past.
It's like 1:31. It's already happened.
Huh?
Sorry, blast into the past. Sorry, I was thinking of the end.
Yeah, blasts into the past. Mm-hmm. So that's the other thing. Blast into the past, and for a moment it's dark out, like it's in the middle of the night when the farm people think he's an alien.
Right.
5 minutes later, it's bright as can be. It's like daylight.
He's right because he's walked 2 miles. He's walked 2 miles to town.
Right. So it doesn't take like 6 hours to walk to town.
That's a very good point.
And then when he gets to town, everything's hustling and bustling. It's not like everyone's still sleeping. So I think, I don't know, something, it's very, very minor. Very, very minor.
That's fair.
Yes. Why don't you make like a tree and get out of here? And then when George is trying to get up the guts to talk to Leah, Lorraine, I'm so sorry. Well, Leah's the actor.
Yeah, I know.
Give me a milk. Chocolate.
They're all so good. They're all so
really,
good.
really fun.
And even my critiques about Leah Thompson was really more about the character than Leah Thompson. She played it great for what they wanted Lorraine to be.
Yes.
But I think the acting across the board, even Doc when he was annoying me, I mean, it's just like it just hit me different.
Doc enjoyed me. That's a slip. No, I enjoyed Doc. I did. I did enjoy him. I found it very upsetting to see him shot.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
I forgot about that too.
That it was Libyans. I was like, wait, they really said Libyans? And it really was Libyans? And like, that's really where they're going with this?
Wow, yeah.
Oh my, I know it was 85, but that's a bit
I know,
odd.
Crazy. I mean, if nothing else, it could have been Russians. Like, I feel like
that's
Russians
the thing.
were the big...
Well, that's the thing. Like Red Dawn.
Yeah.
Red Dawn was the Russians.
They were always the villain in the 80s movies, the
Rocky IV. Right.
All of
Very
them,
good.
So, I will say when George triumphs with the punch, it choked me up.
Oh.
When he punched Biff, I'm like, oh, way to go, George.
And quite the punch. I was so proud of that punch.
So that's exactly, like, I welled up. Like, I was so proud and happy and emotional. Like, I definitely did not have that feeling way back when I saw it for the first time. But it was like, wow, good for you, buddy. Good
awesome.
for you.
And Crispin Glover, though, sometimes he can't help but look scary. Like, he looks scary in that punch scene.
Yes.
Big negative on this. Why the F does Marty do another song?
Oh, I know.
Like, he finally gets his life back, and he knows that Doc gets murdered. Why does he hey, I have the crowd's attention.
Let's do one more song.
Let's do some music.
Yeah, I thought that was really dumb also.
Yeah. I mean, I did laugh. I did laugh when he stopped and everyone's looking at him like,
everyone's staring at him.
That's great.
That was
That's
really
great.
Funny.
But he knows what's at stake.
That could have been all combined in that first. Oh, I guess not. Well, if we didn't get the second...
He was losing his life.
Yes, and it was a slow song for them to kiss at.
That's right.
So it did set up the joke about the band member calling his cousin.
It's a long ass setup for that.
It was a long setup.
Yeah, for Chuck Berry.
Yes. Yeah. I laughed with Christopher Lloyd, another part where I laughed. He's waiting for him because he did a second song. Looks at his watch. Damn, where's that kid? Takes 2 steps. Damn! Takes 2 more steps. Damn!
I laughed out. That was really
That
good.
was really funny.
He's so good. There's a couple
really
of times
funny.
where he got a little too loud for me at my age.
But what an ending. So suspenseful.
Well, let's talk about this. I think I might respectfully disagree.
Okay, let's hear it.
Through as it being older, I didn't like how I was feeling. My anxiety when he pulls the cord and the other end pops out. It was like, oh my God, I forgot about this. And the branch and the tree and then this. I'm like, oh, he swings down. But I forgot because that's how long. I forgot a lot about it too. And that whole thing, and Marty's flooring the car, and it's like, oh, and the lightning, and I'm like, what even happens? I almost forgot. And
I forgot about all the little things that happened.
The little things that happened, and I really didn't appreciate the way this movie made me feel.
Yeah, it did. It made me feel very anxious also, but I liked it also.
I loved it when I was a kid. I loved it.
One thing after another with like the Biff, and even like starting from that, like the Biff situation, him showing up. Oh my God, that's messed up. And then the guitarist hurting his hand. Oh God, no, they're not gonna play.
Yeah.
And then all these, and then someone taking the girl. Oh, like it was a one thing after another. And then when it gets to the clock tower, and then he's trying to tell him that he's going to be killed, and he finds the note, and like all these things, it was very, very anxiety inducing.
Yes.
And it just kept going on and on and on. But it was, it was good. It was unpredictable. And just when you think everything's going to be okay, all of a sudden it's like, oh, another plug unplugs. It's like, ah!
Yeah. I think when I was a kid, I loved all of that tension of the plugs and all that. As an adult, not so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it hit me in a different way.
And then, like, what bothered me, too, was he wants to save Doc's life, right?
Which is why he does another song.
But he had to, right. But he decided to change the time. He's like, oh, I have all the time in the world. 10 minutes ought to do it. What makes you think 10 minutes is going to do it?
No.
And... he knows he's going to be somewhere else. Like, he knows he's not at the Twin Tower, not the Twin Towers, the Twin Peaks, whatever it was.
Yes.
The mall.
The mall.
He knows he's not at the mall. He's going to have to get from this point to that. He doesn't know how the re-entry is going to be. He doesn't know if he's going to crash into something.
10 minutes is diddly squat.
It is.
I don't know what he was thinking.
I mean, a half hour? How about an hour? Like,
right.
I mean, you can wake up a little bit earlier and just get there before he gets there. Like, yeah. I mean, obviously they had to do it the way they did it, but that was very shocking when they showed up and you still see him down.
Dead. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Did he... So here's an interesting thing. I thought the dialogue was so different.
Okay.
When he finally sees Doc and he gets shot and he comes over and he's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, blah, blah. And then he wakes up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, wait, I thought you weren't gonna read it or whatever. And so Doc says, I just figured what the heck. Right? My memory is very specific.
Oh, let's hear it.
My memory is he says, I got curious somewhere around 1966 or something like that. He had a year. I got curious somewhere around like 1966 or 1963 or something. I have a memory of him saying that. Is that weird?
Oh my God, Christina.
So I don't know where that memory is. Maybe it was from a different movie.
Well, if he said 1963, that's Kennedy, right?
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
So,
well, I don't know what year, but I remember him saying a year.
But that would make sense if
like
an assassination.
Around...
Yeah. So that is interesting.
Yeah. And when he didn't say it, I was like, what?
Wait, how did you watch it? Library?
Library.
What edition? Do you remember?
I don't. It was a Blu-ray.
Okay.
So it was probably an anniversary edition of some sort.
Oh man, that's interesting. I wonder. Yeah. I'm sure. It's going to be Googleable. Like
it's got to be.
Original dialogue
like,
of Doc.
What happened? Like, I thought he said that, and I'm like, maybe I'm thinking of a different movie. But what other movie?
But it doesn't sound like you saw the other ones.
I didn't see any of the other Back to the Future ones. But I'm wondering if there was. Is there another time?
Or deleted scene or
movie that I don't remember. I don't know. It was weird.
Oh, you think it might be from a different movie?
I don't know. It's like, a very specific line.
That's
so anyway, very, very strange. What else? And so yes. Oh, and then when back in 1985 when the car doesn't start again, I'm like, try banging your head on the steering wheel again.
Christina,
Did you say the same thing?
1,000%. And I thought it was going to work. Just do it. Why would you not? Because he even realized, like, oh, that was funny. Yeah. Just do it. I bang my head all over the place. Oh my God. Yeah. It doesn't work and we bang my head against it.
Made me laugh. And so back in his room, his whole life has changed. His parents have changed, the whole house. But his room is exactly the same.
Well, this is really interesting because my first thought, Christina, was, oh my God, now he's the loser. He's like the least cool person in the house now.
That's right, because he was raised by, quote, losers, right?
Well, no, I guess what I mean is,
but like that would have been his upbringing.
Like, yeah, because he thinks he's cool. He skateboards. Does he have a job? He cleans the lab for Doc, which we only find out years later through an interview with the writer. But now he is the least successful person in the family.
That is so funny. Yes.
And I do struggle with this idea of money equals success.
Yes.
Because if you really think about it, like, George kind of seems like a dick now.
Yes.
Like wearing sunglasses inside the home. Like, being all Miami Vice. Like, it's, I don't think he seems like a warm, fuzzy person.
Well, and if the 80s taught us nothing, rich people are assholes.
Yeah.
Right?
Greed is good.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And,
Just ask James Spader.
Well, but then you look at Biff, who is now doing, what is he doing?
He's like waxing his
car, like doing car, I don't know what he was doing.
Detailing
but like,
something.
Does that mean Biff's a loser because he has, a blue collar job?
Yeah.
It's weird. It
is a weird dynamic there.
And also, what's even weirder is violence. Violence works.
Violence
That's
equals
another
success.
weird message for a PG film.
Lots of middle-aged lenses here.
Oh, yeah. But at the same... so the big question, though, more, less, or about the same?
I might say... Oh, God, I want to say a little less, only because that first part was so draggy. That middle part, I guess, was so draggy and boring to me.
Yeah.
And the rest of it, I felt the same way, like really fun and happy. Yeah. And even like when I first watched it, all those stale jokes were new, and I found them funny, and now they're just stale.
Yeah, like the soda stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny, because I remember I loved it before, and but I'm going to say a little less. As much as I appreciate and have more respect for the screenplay now than I did then, I do think there's just some weird messages, and the assault on Lorraine, the double, is just... doesn't belong in a PG
hard.
sci-fi.
Yeah, that's a bad
Robert Zemeckis comedy. So some trivia. The script was rejected 40 times.
Oh my gosh.
Because in the 80s comedy trend was raunch. And they felt that this movie was not raunchy enough. So they're like, So they sent it to Disney, and Disney found it to be raunchy. They said, wait, the mom and the kid? The mom's flirting with the kid?
Interesting.
So, I will also say that Eric Stoltz, we know this, was originally cast as Marty. But they filmed scenes with him, and they fired him or they let him go because allegedly he was playing it too seriously. He was putting way too much drama into this idea. So let's see. The budget for Back to the Future 1 was $19 million. It made $388 million.
Wow.
And just as a little note here, so that was 1985. 1989, Part 2 was made for $40 million, so double the budget. It made $333 million. Part 3, which was filmed right after, because that was released in 1990. They made these movies at the same time, Parts 2 and 3. That was made for $40 million, and it made $245 million. And those are all my notes.
That's all
I have a match game.
I have a match game as well. Shall I go first?
Yeah. Oh, what's on Patreon? What's on?
Oh, on Patreon. Oh, thank you for asking. Yes, on Patreon, patreon.com/oldroommates, we have a really fun article, and it's basically talks about the 5 things that they got right from Back to the Future, and 4 things they got wrong. So it's open to everybody. You don't have to be a member of Patreon to read it. It's really cute and funny and interesting. So it's like They predicted the future in a lot of ways.
Yes.
But didn't in also some ways as well.
And also, in Back to the Future Day, there's 3 Back to the Future days, which you mentioned at the beginning, but it's like a thing. Like, and I think Entrepreneur Magazine just did one a few weeks ago about, they said, like, Doc being a scientist, that it actually, you can learn a lot from the way he approached his experiments, and that not to count old ideas out that might just be ahead of their time, and not to count out older brains. Like, Doc had the idea when he was 30, he didn't bring it into the forefront until he was 60, and that there's just things that are too early, and never discount someone because of their age, etc.
Well, especially something like time travel. I mean, you want to take your time
That's right.
Learning about time travel.
I have a match game, Christina.
All right, let me go first.
Oh, what do you have?
It's you're not gonna like it probably, but it's
oh god.
So Doc.
It's an FMK?
No.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry.
Wow. Doc had some crazy inventions, as we know, but now he has even a better invention.
Okay.
And it has to do with his dog Einstein.
Oh.
He actually found a way to replace dog food with blank. He found a way to replace dog food. Best invention ever. Replace dog food with blank.
Might be really reaching for the stars here.
Okay. Ding. Ding. Okay, Doc's best invention yet. He found a way to replace dog food with...
used plastic? Like recycling. Like it could save the planet.
That sounds
if dogs
good,
ate used plastic and got nutrients from it.
Very good. I like that. That would be a really good invention, actually.
Thank you.
Rid of the
I'm going to work on it now. I'm going to work on it now. I'll have it when I'm 80.
No. Not a match.
Oh.
I said he found a way to replace dog food with batteries. So just put batteries in a dog. And they don't need to eat it all.
Oh, I see. I took something totally different.
Yeah.
I was thinking that I ingested
something to eat it. Yeah. I get it. It's okay.
Okay.
Good effort.
Well, are you ready for my match game?
I am ready.
Lorraine would have been really confused if she had checked Marty's t-shirt label. Because his underwear said Calvin Klein, but his t-shirt was made by blank. Wow, very fast. Oh man! So I want you to know I was juggling between 3 answers.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
All right, Christina, what did you get? His underwear was from Calvin Klein, but his T-shirt was from
Tommy Hilfiger.
Oh, so good.
Damn it! What'd you do?
Believe it or not, that was not on my top.
Oh my gosh!
I was first thought Hanes, and I was like, no, that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
And I did Ralph Lauren.
Good one. Yeah, could have been a few different ones. That's a good one, though. I like that. Nice.
I was originally thinking, like, did Donna Karen make men's T-shirts?
Yes,
that
would have been
hilarious.
Good to have a woman's
Donna. And that is Back to the Future.
And that's it for this episode of Old Roommates. Thank you for listening. For bonus content, please visit us at patreon.com/oldroommates.
And follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, @oldroommates. Thanks for listening. Until next time.